What is up, everyone? Today I'm going to be showing you guys the MG34 and the MG42, two of the most powerful weapons in history and in Battlefield 5. Before I get into it, most of you guys probably already know this, but the MG34 and the MG42 are considered MMGs in the game. This means you cannot run and gun like the other LMGs. In other words, you must deploy your bipod on some sort of platform or go prone in order to aim down sights. This changes the entire playstyle with these weapons because the first thing you do when you see enemies is stop, drop, and deploy instead of point and shoot. So here we have the MG34. It is the second weapon you unlock in the support class and it is very fun to use. And with the MG34 being a starter weapon, it can help you level up easily if you use it properly. And having specific specializations on your weapon also determines how you'll be using it, since it will be performing very differently. As you see here, I am using the anti-air iron sights with the double drum mags, and this comes from the specializations. So to get the best performance from this weapon, you'll definitely need the recoil buffer, which reduces your vertical recoil. And secondly, you'll need the chrome lining to have your weapon overheat 33% slower and less affected by heat, which will have a big performance difference compared to not having chrome lining. And third, if you choose chrome lining, you're pretty much stuck with the double drum mags as your only option, which only holds 75 rounds with a slightly faster reload compared to the 100 belt-fed rounds. And for the last one here, I have light bolt to increase your rate of fire, which allow you to take down enemies faster. You could also choose the other one, ported barrel, to reduce horizontal recoil, but I don't think it's necessary since the weapon is steady enough with the vertical recoil reduced. And here's me using this version of the MG34. And as you can see here, this thing is an absolute monster with almost no recoil at all. And you see, I got away with these 5 kills because I engaged the enemies from the side. This is important to keep in mind because I don't have a regular LMG to be fighting my enemies face to face. Engaging from the side gave me the time to deploy my weapon and get kills, as well as getting the opportunity to survive. My team captured the first objective, so I'm slowly pushing forward to see if it can do some more damage. I'm constantly going prone to get ready to deploy my weapon, and I get shot by a sniper right here. I wasn't sure where it came from, so I took a guess and popped some shots. And as you can see, tapping this thing is dead on accurate and you can counter snipers easily. But if you're like me, who sometimes sacrifice a weapon's performance to make it look nicer, here's what you can do. Select the recoil buffer just like before. You can select the flashless propellant to reduce the flash from your weapon. Have the 100 belt-fed rounds instead of the drum mags. This will make your MG34 look a whole lot nicer. And finally, we keep the light bolt the same so we get that increased rate of fire. And look at that. This thing looks absolutely beautiful without the double drum mags on the top. You can see the engravings on the gun too. Sadly, it does not perform as good as it looks. This thing overheats very easily since we don't have chrome lining to reduce overheating. So it's recommended to use short bursts instead of holding down your spray. This also means the 100 belt-fed rounds lost its purpose. So unless you're going for looks, I do not recommend changing to these specializations. If you don't mind the small performance difference, the MG34 is still a very good gun and it's still very powerful to use. As you can see, I'm not spraying as much as I did with the other MG34. I tend to tap a lot more and not commit to spraying unless I have to. Because now, I have to keep an eye out for my gun overheating on the right bottom corner of the screen. If your gun does overheat, your soldier will automatically swap out the barrel and you're right back in business. However, this animation does take 2 to 3 seconds, which can allow enemies to advance and take you out. The MG34 has its ups and downs, but its power to hold off enemy pushes definitely makes it worth using. And of course, since you can't aim down sights while on the run, your only option is to hip fire. And hip firing isn't very accurate with the MG34, unless your enemies are extremely close like you see here. You also have to crawl around the corners in order to peek and be able to take out enemies. This means you should always be cautious before getting up and advancing. Here's also another way to putting hip fire into great use. If you're flanking the enemies, get up close and personal and gun them down. Your job as the MG support is to cut off enemy reinforcements that are running towards the objective. I died here because I was face tanking multiple targets, which eventually got me killed. So as I said before, try engaging from the side, and you'll have a great crossfire on the enemies pushing. And now, let's look at the legendary MG42. Here's my recommendation on the specializations. So first off, we pick the recoil buffer as always to reduce the vertical recoil. Second, we have the extended belt allowing you to fire 250 rounds. Otherwise, you only have 50 round belts if you chose light bolts for an increased fire rate. But since the MG42 already has an insane fire rate, firing out only 50 bullets is no fun and won't be as effective. And of course, we want chrome lining to reduce the weapon overheating since we'll be firing many rounds at such a high rate of fire. Finally, we want the quick reload because we'll be focusing on enemy infantry. I personally don't see myself for the majority shooting at airplanes with an MG, which is why I didn't pick the incendiary bullets. The MG42 has such a high rate of fire, it just spits bullets and will tear your enemies apart. As you see here, I'm engaging my targets from the side from an off angle, so I am safe from snipers and anyone rushing the objective will just be feeding me kills. You can also see how small the gap is between the crosshairs. This thing is very accurate to just hip fire once you deploy the bipod. Here, you see me letting that one guy through. That allowed his teammates to spawn on him, which eventually led to my downfall. So make sure you're safe when reloading. Once again, I made my way around to engage the enemies from the side. Once I see my enemies, I stop, drop, and deploy. I position myself at an angle so that it's hard for the enemies to see me. Just like a sniper, you should be changing positions after a few kills. But I got greedy getting kills from such a good spot, and I was holding the push, so I figured I might as well hold this for as long as I can. The MG42 is just so much fun to use. Gunning down people so quickly at such a high rate of fire is incredibly satisfying. But unfortunately, it is not as accurate as the MG34 when it comes down to long range tapping. Even burst firing is difficult to eliminate targets at a long distance. Here's me cheesing some kills with the MG42. Knowing that we just lost an objective on the other side of the river, the enemies would be pushing us by having to cross this river. After getting a few kills, I should have gone to a different spot because I shouldn't be fighting my enemies face to face. So, I eventually got taken out by the sniper. Face tanking a group of enemies is not recommended, but if you're holding it down to buy your team some time to get on the objective, then it's a risk worth taking. Just like the MG34, the MG42 won't let you down when you're behind a group of enemies. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos that are coming soon.